Hello, European Confessions. I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and the message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? I am a woman who is aged 38. I have a huge secret that I am keeping in my heart, and I am struggling to confess to my husband. So many nights, especially when me and my husband are busy doing it. When I think about this secret that I am keeping hidden in my heart, all of my feelings will just go away. I'll just get dry, so much that he will start to complain. My husband will accuse me of not concentrating on the things that we'll be doing when we will be in bed. But how can I concentrate on making love to my husband, the one that I have been lying to for so many years? I really feel ashamed of all the things that I did. When I did this thing to my husband, I told myself that I was going to hide it. As long as I was alive, no one was going to know this thing that I did. Because at that time, I thought that I was strong enough. I was never going to feel guilty of all the things that I did to him. But now, whenever my husband tries to be a nice husband, sometimes I'll be at work, and when I come back home, I would find out that my husband has already cooked for me, and he would have prepared a warm bath for me so that I can bath and relax. Sometimes when he is making love to me and he is trying to be a nice husband, this thing, it just brings that guilty conscience. Please, my brother, can you ask this question to your audience? Is there anyone who has ever cheated on their partner and they have confessed to their partner that they cheated on them? And if they confessed to their partner, what happened next? Did the relationship continued as normal, or did things go bad? Because I want to be sure before I can confess to my husband. I cannot risk losing my husband. This is my story, my brother. I got married to a man whom I had dated from high school. We were like high school lovers. We loved each other so much, and when we met, we had promised each other that we were going to get married to each other. After high school, then I continued with my education. My husband was working at that time. When I finally got married to my husband, we didn't have a big wedding. We just went to court. That is where we did our wedding. We were just struggling to survive. I continued with my education. Then my husband was working as a general worker. His job was not paying at all. Since I loved him, I could not dump him. And at that time, I had already fallen pregnant for him. And just when our baby girl was 3 months old, my husband then lost his job. Life became unbearable in that house since my husband could not find a job and food became scarce. There were so many days when we would spend the whole day without eating anything. And at that time, I was breastfeeding. It was quite challenging to look at my child when she was crying for milk. And whenever I would try to give her milk, no milk will come out because I was always hungry. My brother, that is when I started cheating on my husband. The first man that I cheated with, it was a man who stayed next door. He was a bachelor, but he really had a good life. He did not have a good job. He was just working at a local supermarket. But at that time, with all the poverty that he had entered into my marriage, whenever I would see this man going to work, and whenever you would return back from work with a lot of groceries, I then became attracted to him. I started cheating on my husband with this man. Whenever my husband will be at work, me and that man, we would meet at a lodge or somewhere. Sometimes if he was not going to work, then I will go into his room so that we can make love. After making love, he used to give me food. If he had money on that day, he would give me the money so that I can buy some food. Whenever my husband would come back from whenever my husband will return back home after he had gone out in the morning to look for a job, if my husband was to find food in the house, he never asked where the food had came from. So I thought that this was a go ahead for me to continue doing whatever we can do so that me, my husband, and our baby can survive. Brother Nashi, it reached a stage whereby I started to prostitute myself. I would lie to my husband. I would tell my husband that someone has called me because my sister was working for these certain Indians. She was a stay-in maid. So I would tell my husband that my sister has told me that her boss wanted to give me a piece job, but I will be lying to my husband. I will take my baby, Brother Nashi, then I would go and sell my body, because there was this other area where a lot of women used to stand in the street, no matter if it was in the afternoon or if it was in the evening. We used to sell our bodies. And when it was around 3 p.m., then I would get into the taxi and go back home and start cooking. My husband, when he will return back, he will be so happy because I will show him the money, but not all of the money. I will show my husband some portion of the money that I would have earned on that day from prostituting myself. Then I will lie to him that I was doing a piece job. So whilst I was busy prostituting myself, that is when I started dating this other guy. He was a guy who was loaded. He had money, but he was single. So me and him, we started dating, but he told me that he cannot marry me. But he said that you are so beautiful. I want to help you, since you have been helping me a lot, because I was giving him a lot of sexual favors. When I was dating that man, that is when the opportunity for me to migrate to the UK came. When I was in communication with some of his relatives that are based here in the UK, that is when they asked me what kind of an education that I had. And when I told them, they told me to further my education. So I did that. When I was doing this, my husband never understood. He thought that I was just wasting money. But I kept on progressing with my education. So from prostituting my body to that man, then later dating him, that is how I got the opportunity to migrate to UK. Since me and my husband, we were legally married, I could not dump him like that. When I arrived in the UK, I had left my husband back in Africa because I had to work first, settle down. Then we would start processing his papers. When I was here in the UK with all the freedom that I was now having, I didn't have a husband. Knowing that my husband is back in Africa, I just went wild. I dated a lot of men, and my husband doesn't know all these things that I did. That is why, Brother Nashi, whenever I am making love to my husband, whenever I think of all the things that I did, I really feel guilty. Please, can you ask your audience, is there anyone who has ever cheated on their partner? And if there is someone who has done this deed and they have not told their partner that they cheated on them, how do you keep this secret hidden in your heart? And how can you stop yourself from feeling guilty? Because this guilty is eating me alive, I don't want to lie. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received from our dear sister. Please let us speak with her in the comment section.